It's episode 10 of the XboxEra podcast. Welcome, one and all. I'm joined by Shpeshal Ed and Kaironaut.
G'day.
And this episode is wholly focused on XO19. And having been there personally, it was a really good fucking show, right?
It was.
I was impressed.
Everything that came out of it looked awesome. So
yeah, I'm surprised. Even though we've probably been the staunchest critics, perhaps, of Inside Xbox and some of the cringy banter, as experts in cringy banter ourselves, they really nailed it. And there was so much stuff announced. So I guess we can go through and have a chat about what we found to be the most exciting of those announcements. What really tickled your fancy, guys?
For me, personally, the best part was, and I don't know why I didn't realize it during the broadcast. I didn't realize it till after, but Streets of Rage 4 coming straight into Game Pass.
When they announced that, I was sitting there going, Nick's probably like jumping around the room.
Oh, yeah. Man,
are you going to still triple
so
dip
good
to support the devs?
I think I might get it on Switch, maybe get it on PS4 if the trophies are easy enough. Yeah, look good. The thing is, though, a friend of ours, Windrunner, in the Discord, who also runs the PlayStation Era Discord, she was at XO and played Streets of Rage 4, I think. And yeah, she broke my heart a little bit, saying that something felt off about it.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know. So
don't go breaking
I
Nick's heart.
We'll see. I'm hoping that maybe if there is something with it, they've got time to tighten it up or whatever the problem is. I don't know. But it's on Game Pass anyway.
Yeah. Well, here's I did play Streets of Rage 4, unfortunately. And in fact, when we were all messaging on the Discord, Windrunner was like, "I'm by SOR4." Like that acronym just went whoop straight over my head. But I did play one side scroller, and that was Battletoads.
Battletoads, huh?
Like?
I played Battletoads, and I actually played it before the XO event. I was in the Microsoft Store, taking part in the Sea of Thieves Battle for London. And it would be remiss of me not to bring up Sea of Thieves again, because I know it's Ed's favourite game. But I was really, really annoyed about the way that they did that. And so we went in there and they'd set up the LAN area, and they had the guys from Rare down, and they were basically doing heats, and they'd throw it all up on the board. So me and my best mate Tom, we sat down and we got Sea of Thieves up, and first things first, like the microphones, like they gave you headsets, and it was literally a full second delay, even though he's sitting just across from me. So I'd be like, "Dude, there's one on the ladder," and I could actually get the whole sentence out before he'd hear the audio. So we were playing our heat, and what we didn't know, because they didn't explain it to us, basically the rules said you have to win your round to proceed to the next bracket, right? And we were like, okay, we've just got to literally win this. We can get over to the Copper Box Arena and go to XO. And they didn't tell us that one of the teams playing was a professional streamer, and I can't remember what his name was, but he was playing with mouse and keyboard, and they were shit hot. And we were second. We were second for the most of the game, and then we were like, oh shit, we better fucking take out that blue team because we've got to win. Let's go big or go home. So we foolishly went after him, lost everything, and then found out at the end that if we'd have come second, we would have won our bracket and carried on. So we should have just buggered off to the corner of the map and camped like little bitches. So yeah, win some, you lose some. That was a gold-plated Xbox One X I'll never see. But while we were at the Microsoft Store, I played a lot of Battletoads, and we actually played through the entirety of the demo. It was interesting. It was running on the Xbox XDK, so the dev kit, and got to play some side-scrolling, like classic beat-em-up stuff. And then we played the infamous kind of hover bike modernized level. It's really hard. Like, we were laughing at how ridiculously hard it was. But it's not hard as in like a fair kind of hard or a challenging kind of hard, just a kind of muscle memory, fail so many times you know the bit that you've got to win inside out and then succeed. So I don't, and I will give it this. I thought the art style was actually pretty good. It grew on me after a while. It's very, very clean. It looks like a a Cartoon Network animated movie or something like that. It's very, very clean, but nah, not my kind of game either way. But yeah, forget Battletoads. We've seen enough of Battletoads. We saw that last year.
Yeah.
There's lots of new stuff added.
Don't want to see it anymore.
I mean, where do we start? Right? Where do we start?
We should start with Age 4, which got a gameplay trailer, and it looks fucking phenomenal. The graphics are so good. I love that they're going back to the Middle Ages.
Yep.
I love the whole aesthetic. It reminds me of like a more polished, more modernized version of like Age 2. And Jesus, it was beautiful. And I can't fucking wait for that game. I don't remember if they announced a release date though.
No.
Which sucks because it looks so good now, and I really hope it's not 2021.
2021.
I really hope it's next year.
It's happening
early, but who knows at this point. I'm just super excited that we finally got to see a little bit of gameplay, a little bit of in-engine world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Jesus,
yeah, it did look phenomenal, and I have to give mad props to the team over there. And we learnt the studio name, right?
World's Edge.
World's Edge. And just to be clear for those listening, World's Edge is the team at Microsoft responsible for the franchise of Age of Empires, but the full
Relic
development work is Relic Entertainment, which is currently owned by Sega, right? So that's a third-party partnership for a first-party game. So we're not talking acquisition. Before. It has been done before. Dead Rising 3.
Halo was too.
Yep. So, but it does look phenomenal, and we've got to give mad props to Relic for what they've put together there, because it looks to really honor everything that Age kind of was, and still do some really, really clever things. Like, there's so much detail to the ground units, the just graphical fidelity. I cannot wait to see that game running in full fat with all the bells and whistles that modern games can produce now. But that wasn't all we saw. I mean, what was your highlight probably out of anything, Nick? Anything that rang your doorbell?
I thought Everwild looked great.
Everwild looked fantastic.
From Rare. I mean, we don't know what kind of game it is. I suspect that it's like potentially like a Dauntless kind of game.
Are we talking like a Monster Hunter? You're in an open world, you team up with some pals, you go take down some beasties.
Yeah, they said co-op. They didn't say shared world. They just said co-op, which I think I actually prefer.
I think the whole, like, people have been jumping on the bandwagon since the opening details from the Xbox News article on that game came out.
Yeah.
Where they were like an experience shared with multiple people, and it's like, okay, well, that's not explicitly like online only shared world game, that could be co-op. And I think a game, I mean, I wouldn't say a game like Everwild, because we don't know what the fuck Everwild is right now.
Yeah, that's
right. So, but I think shared world is just kind of a wrong direction to go for the new game from Rare, because Sea of Thieves is already that.
Sea of Thieves has already done it, and if they're just making a game that does exactly the same things with some different mechanics, then I would agree with you. It feels counterproductive, but
feels unnecessary.
There looks to be. I mean, I watched that trailer.
There was something you said off air, Cairo, didn't you, about a suggestion someone made on Resetera about Everwild?
Oh yeah,
and what it could be.
there was some I can't remember the exact post, and I don't really have it pulled up with me right now. But there was someone on Era who suggested that the game should follow a more Pokemon-esque route, where you capture monsters and do battle with them, or something similar to that, like that. I think that would be cool. Like a Rare Pokemon game would.
That looks like that.
That looks like that. Oh my god, I would fall in love instantly. Like, the graphics are just something so incredible, considering all the work they've done building that aesthetic with Sea of Thieves. Like, this just looks like out of this world. It looks.
And as amazing. Someone who's playing Pokemon Shield at the moment, to have that looking like that on Xbox would be real good.
Yeah.
As
is
soon as I saw that trailer, I was like, okay, glad that they're using their skills and the techniques and the kind of the art style, because it is reminiscent somewhat of the Sea of Thieves art style. But for me, I saw it and I was like, the music and everything else. I think is it got I can't remember which composer it's got for that game. Is it Grant Kirkhope or Robin Beamer?
I don't know.
I can't remember, but it reminded me a little bit of almost like a 3D Ori and the Blind Forest, apart from the fact that the characters were human shaped walking around. But it was really, really gorgeous, and the music was great. And did you notice there was a little bit of climbing, a little bit of the Breath of the Wild climbing going on in there? But it was like cooperative as well, so one of them was pulling the other one up. So I wonder if that's going to be an element that you'll see in gameplay.
Looks really good.
It was funny. I was actually standing next to at XO when that trailer came out. I was standing next to Mike Chapman, one of the designers on Sea of Thieves. I just turned around to him and went, "Open World Fever Pinata." He just laughed his head off. But yeah, I don't think it's that. But yeah, it does look.
I think the only issue that I'm probably going to have with the game is that simultaneously a good and bad thing is that Rare's doing it, because the problem is not even combat. Because if it's if it's an action game, then yeah, combat would be a concern. But if it turns out to be a lot slower paced, or maybe even a turn-based game, right? Like in the case of a Pokemon-esque game, and I don't think combat would be too bad. My only issue is if the game is good, it's never going to get a sequel, because Rare doesn't do sequels.
They do
not
sequels.
New Rare. Not new Rare.
Not New Rare.
Trouble in Paradise was a sequel.
Shit, that's a long time ago.
It is a long time. Connect Sports was a sequel.
Oh yeah,
they do
Connect
sequels
Sports
where they make
sequels.
sense. They do sequels where they make sense.
True.
But I think and it was a conversation I had with Mike at Rare, who has agreed to come on the podcast at some point with Joe Neat as well, which will be great.
Nice.
I'm calling you out, Mike,
really
in case you listen to this episode. You promised me in person, don't hurt my feelings. But he said he's the same age as me, so 36 years young, and he grew up on exactly the same games that we all did, and that Rare magic still exists, and he was saying it still exists at the company today. And they always want to do new and interesting things. That doesn't always, I think, translate to new IP. Like if they built Everwild and then in 2 years it was a phenomenal success, and technology grew where they could do something really, in that world but new. I don't see that they would go, no, we won't do a sequel. It's got to be new IP. It just really
all
depends.
Well, it depends on what Everwild is ultimately.
Exactly.
Like, is it a platform? Is it a story-based co-op game? Is it? And it all depends on what it is.
I think that was the big turnoff for a lot of people on this unveiling. Was just it looks great graphically, aesthetically, very nice. And
you sure? Are you sure it's not too cartoony?
Let's ignore those people. They're obviously not arguing in good faith. But the people who were making good faith arguments had the same thing to say of, I really wish we would have been seeing gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, I get that they're releasing like a trailer of a pre-production title. This is a pre-production title. They've said as much themselves. But at the same time, they probably should have waited.
I don't know.
But hold on.
I like that they're not waiting now. I like.
Yeah, that's right. We did say a lot of people were saying in the lead up to XO that just for a little while, Microsoft needs to let go of this. We're not going to reveal stuff until it's ready, only because of the current situation they're in. Once they've got all their first-party studios in a nice rhythm, just going bang, 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 putting games out, no worries. Wait till do the Bethesda thing. Wait till it's 6 months away and show it then. That's fine. But right now, while they're so anemic when it comes to the game output, they need to show stuff that's in the pipe, just for now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stark difference. If we look at 2019 versus 2018, they released 2 games. Crackdown 3, Game of the Year.
Sure, dude. Whatever you say,
I'm saying 2018, 2019. I'm saying 2019, 2020. That's the stark difference. My apologies. But yeah, this year, Crackdown 3, Game of the Year, obviously, for everybody in the world.
Gears 5.
And Gears 5. And that's it. That's all they released this year, which is...
That was pretty much it, wasn't it? I don't think there was anything else, was there?
I don't think so.
I'm trying to remember.
And we're now seeing... a slew of titles. 2020
Next
is
year
insane.
ridiculous.
It's bonkers. It is the biggest end of generation year
First
of
party
release
output.
I've seen in
For an
years.
Xbox, at least.
For an Xbox, especially. Normally, we're all used to the
hold on,
console
I
having
don't
its legs
ever
cut out from
recall-
under it.
don't ever-
Buy the next one, you jerks. You know, like.
But I don't ever recall a Nintendo or a PlayStation console coming out with that many games in its final year.
I think PS3 did
I
a
think
pretty
they're
good
doing
job.
it because they've already established a safety net of everything now will run on Scarlet.
Yeah, I guess so.
Do we have to care? Do we have to care about pushing all this stuff to the new box? No, we can release it when it's ready, and just
Patch
fucking
it
have it
new
and
box.
patch it, and then patch it for the new box, and then just re-release it on the new box.
Well, I mean, some of it will get delayed anyway.
Some, yeah,
Inevitably, like they always do.
but at the same time, yeah,
Yeah.
I think they have the safety net now. They can just say we can do whatever the fuck we want because everything's just gonna run on Scarlet anyway.
Mm-hmm.
No big.
Yep.
They have
They've
confidence.
got all the studios. They've all started stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about one of the other new things that they revealed. The next new IP. Now, I was sitting there at XO when this came on, and I actually said out loud, "Oh my god, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids." And yes, now we've got a new survival genre-based kind of RPG from Obsidian, completely different to what they've ever made before, and apparently a
Insanely
passion
different.
project internally within Obsidian. Just 13 people working on Grounded. And yeah, we're looking at a mini Honey, I Shrunk the Kids survival
be
game
there.
against giant bugs.
You can tell that
They're
you can tell they
Pikmin?
anticipate. Huh? What's up?
might even be their Pikmin,
Yeah,
maybe.
be.
But you can tell they were anticipating the reactions to that game when
Yeah.
the first
Is it Josh Sawyer
thing the
from
first thing the
Obsidian?
Obsidian guy said. The first thing the Obsidian guy said when
we're still making RPGs.
we're still making RPGs. Don't worry, we have all the teams. This is just a 13 people team, and then people still reacted the exact same way they thought they would.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I get it. This is not a game normally made by a studio like Obsidian.
It's not associated. to that
But at
genre.
the same time,
That's fine.
game developers do whatever the fuck they want, and we'll see good things happen 9 times out of 10.
we had
that's
the same
beauty
thing
of
from
Game
Bleeding
Pass,
Edge.
though.
Exactly.
But that's the beauty of Game Pass. Like now, like a game like Grounded, right?
Would never
It's
get
even-
greenlit in a world without Game
That's
Pass.
right. And same with Bleeding Edge. Neither of those games is going to sell. Was going to sell gangbusters before Game Pass existed. But you know what, man? A shitload of people are probably going to try them both out just to see what they're like.
I will be one of them. I played Bleeding Edge at XO. I played a full match, although the devs were like on the stations, and we were like, right, as soon as we got like 8 of us, we're gonna load into a match and you can play against each other, and the headsets are all working. And give props to them, they were trying to foster a competitive. They said we're walking around giving tips. I had a lot of fun, even though I've been in the alpha for a while. I haven't actually had a chance to just sit down and play, so it was my first time on the game, and it's played really well. It was really smooth. It did, as you've said, Cairo, turn into a little bit of button mashing towards the end.
Grind fest, yeah.
I think you could turn it's one of those games where the really good teams are going to absolutely swamp the teams that are communicating and utilizing all the different skills are going to swamp the button mashers, and that's what's going to happen. But I think there is a neat little game there to play, a neat little not take it too seriously.
There's a neat concept behind it
that I like.
And
they gave out the best loot as well. They gave out Bleeding Edge socks. And they were like little ninja socks.
Do you have them to show off?
Had its own little, like a glove. I was like, okay.
Do you have them to show off?
I don't know. I think I gave them to my wife. But yeah, I was like, look, here's a present. And my little boy got a Bleeding Edge tattoo, which he absolutely loved. It's on his arm at the moment. He looks badass with it. But yeah, no, Grounded. Sorry, slight tangent, but Grounded. I'm actually looking forward to trying because I think it's going to be small scale. It's going to be hilarious because of the concept itself, and it's going to be a game that you can jump in with. I'm presuming a team of mates and play against. Is it going to be against other teams? Is it just against PVE? I don't mind, but I'm looking forward to just jumping in and tackling it.
And
I also
to
got
all the people.
a little
And
bit of
all-
a Fortnite vibe with the building mechanics.
Yeah.
But
A lot
yeah,
like Fortnite.
And to
looking
all the
forward-
people
yeah.
who kept saying shit like, "Wow, Microsoft forced Obsidian to make a multiplayer survival game. Amazing." One, Microsoft didn't force anyone to do anything. This game was in pre-production way before the acquisition of the studio.
Yep. Just like Bleeding Edge was.
Just like Bleeding Edge. Microsoft didn't force hands. All right. Obsidian is doing this based solely on the fact that they have a small team that wants to do this. That's it. That's all you need to care about or no.
Creator-led, baby. Creator-led.
So the thing with Bleeding Edge, though, is, and I was talking about this with Synth in the Discord, was that even in its current iteration, it still hasn't. Bleeding Edge still hasn't solved the problem of, yeah, sure, a good team using the abilities will swamp a bad team, right? But like a good team will still get absolutely creamed if the button masher gets like lucky. Because guess what? Hits track so fucking well in that game that it is insane. Dodging doesn't fucking work because hits track so well. It's ridiculous, right? So dodging is ineffective. There's no way to counter an attack. You either fucking get lucky with a dodge and manage to do a counter attack, or you just get fucked. Period. That's it. Because once you're trapped in a combo, you're trapped in a combo. There's no breaking out of it. If someone doesn't come and help you out, there's no way.
Yeah.
Absolutely no way. So there's no individual way to like play to your strengths. All right? And I want Bleeding Edge to be successful. I want it to be successful because the concept is something that I've wanted to like even do on my own in my own like projects for a while. And it's just not the game that I envisioned, you know. And I don't want to.
Are you feeding this back to the Ninja Theory team?
I'm feeding this back to the Ninja Theory team. I'm not gonna like criticize the game for not being what I want, because what I want is I'm just one dude who fucking lives in a shitty apartment and goes to college. I know nothing about game design or, you know, the greater, wider things. At the same time, Bleeding Edge lacks that certain bit of magic that I wanted to see going in, because it was a new concept. It was a different concept. No one had really done, besides Anarchy Reigns, no one had really done a multiplayer brawler like that.
Very true.
You know, and
Power Stone.
The problem with it is it doesn't go far enough in the action direction and goes way too far in the Overwatch direction. And we've said this time and time again. Overwatch is not a good fucking template, because the only way that game is still skillful is because you can't dumb down shooting mechanics without making it bullshit.
Yeah.
Everyone will fucking hate the game if the shooting mechanics were literally point and the game aims for you. You know?
Yeah,
but in Bleeding Edge, it's literally look at someone and the game aims for you. You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it needs to go more in the action game direction.
I
Block
still think
button,
though
a more competent dodge, no hit tracking. Like, come on.
Well, let's get. Is it Rani? Am I pronouncing that right? From Ninja
I
Theory?
think so.
We're gonna have to find her on Twitter and get her in the podcast to have a chat about Bleeding Edge, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll work on that, audience.
Like, I know I'm probably
we'll
being
come
like
back to
super
you.
harsh on a game that's still in alpha and a lot can still change, but in its
True.
current iteration, I don't have fun in Bleeding Edge.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, you know, that's a conversation we can have, right? So,
Yeah.
but we'll see if we can reach out to her and see if we can persuade her to come and chat to us and share some design thoughts and methodologies as to why they're going the route they're going, and see maybe you can make a good argument, Cairo. Who knows?
Well, hopefully it'll be a respectful argument. This stuff
Yeah,
can't
course.
tend to get heated, at least on my part. So.
But I think they announced a launch date for Bleeding Edge as well, which I think is
April.
March 24th.
March.
I thought it was April.
March.
Okay.
No,
March.
it's March. It's March.
I remember it was April. It was another game, right? It was another game that said April,
Maybe.
right?
There's lots
Maybe.
they announced. So
There was a lot of games, so yeah.
I'll try and remember.
All right.
So
So
yeah,
the next one.
I think I think there's a closed beta for Bleeding Edge as well, and you get a bunch of like
February, I think.
character costumes.
The
And I have to
launch for $30.
January, February.
$30 on Steam as well. I have to admit as well, one thing I do think that they do really well is all of the characters are great. I think the character
characters
design
are
of
visually
Bleeding
unique
Edge
and
is
visually distinct. I really like
brilliant.
that.
I really like them.
Yeah.
My one criticism of gameplay is I want to be able to run and generate my hoverboard at the same time, because there were so many times I was trying to bail from a fight after causing some trouble, and you have to stop and hold the D-pad to generate your hoverboard to escape.
Well, there's a reason why they do that.
Yeah, of course there is. But it doesn't feel good as a player. I'm like, I don't want to stand here waiting for this circle to fill up. But yeah, you know, I get it. It's a balance thing. But so we've had Grounded, we've had Everwild, we've had Bleeding Edge. Let's talk about Tell Me Why. A brand new Don't Nod. So the guys who made Life is Strange. Don't Nod first party game. So let's make sure that this is clear. This is exclusive to Xbox and obviously by extension 10. PC. But PC via the Xbox Store, not Steam, I presume at this point. And fantastically for a less episodic driven release. It's not here's the first episode and we'll release.
Yeah, they're releasing all episodes at once, like the Netflix model.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Which honestly,
I don't think it's actually the Netflix model. So they're not releasing every episode available, boom, on day one, but they are releasing them and saying episode 1 is like this week, and then episode 2 is the very next week, definitely. There's no unknown.
Yeah, so it's more like an actual, it's more like an actual like TV show.
Yeah.
Which I actually wish Netflix would fucking do. Because
I like
the whole binge model is dumb. Binge model, but that's a different conversation.
Really, I like it.
I don't have to wait
because you have to. You want to build hype for the next episode, and the best way to do that is to just delay it a week. I'm not asking for delaying it a goddamn month. I'm saying a week. You know,
that's old thinking.
Whatever.
I like binging.
The problem.
Okay,
going back to games though.
Boomer.
Okay, boomer. You're the fucking boomers.
No, the screen is taking over everyone.
All right. So, anyway, that game.
And they're tackling a big issue too, right?
Yeah, the whole transgender issue. I really like that facet of it. I really like that it's focusing on a transgender protagonist.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's honestly like really cool for them to do.
There's a lot of stuff that can be talked about there, and I for one am intrigued. You know, I have no experience with that, but you know, we're on I would argue a very left-leaning liberal forum, and you know, I read a lot about people's experiences in that kind of world, and I think it's really really good for a game developer to kind of I would actually use this word risk, you know, because there is a bit of risk here. There's a risk that it either won't communicate its ideas well and offend, or there's a risk that unfortunately the bigoted and idiots out there
It'll draw
will
the ire
also
of the idiots.
like, you know, be idiots about it. When
honestly, if it pisses them off, then good. So.
And the thing is, I actually like I like the way they did it via twins as well.
Very, very clever.
Yeah, I reckon that's cool. It'll I assume that's going to open up a lot of interesting story possibilities and devices by having it with twins. Could be cool.
I'm intrigued, so I can't wait to play it. And this is what I love. It's not like it's 2 years out. This is next summer. You know, this is after Christmas. You know, next year is going to be bonkers if you think about it. It's actually going to be bonkers. So, really looking forward to playing that through. What else have we got? Halo Reach is finally
Halo Reach December 3rd
arriving on PC.
And I think you can preload it now.
Yeah, you can preload it. I had a quick go.
That's going to be a kicker on PC, I can tell you that much. Though I have heard that modding is locked to the Steam store, which is going to hamper the Xbox store a lot, considering modding is such a big part of the Halo community in terms of Forge and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess. You can do a lot more on PC. I mean, I played El Dorito, which was
I'm not just
online
PC. I'm not just talking PC. I'm talking like the Xbox store on PC.
Yeah.
Which does not have mods. So it's kind of a hard sell then on PC, because if you're gonna buy it on the system, you might as well get it on Steam. You're gonna get the mod support.
Well, I'm not gonna really ever mod the game. I agree. I can completely admit that modding is for a lot of people on PC, but I don't care. I'm just looking forward to playing it in 32:9 at 60 or 144 FPS. Although apparently at launch there is a 60 FPS lock whilst they're figuring out how to completely unlock the frame rate. There's still a bug in that regard. And a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you should delay it until it's ready." And I'm like, "Look, 60 FPS is pretty good for most people. There's, we're the minority, those with like 144 hertz monitors and shit like that." But it's good that they've said, "Hey, yeah, this is a thing, and we're still working on it." But I'm quite looking forward to just playing through the campaign again with some pals.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that Reach's campaign will age well with me.
I think so. Yeah.
Like I remember not liking it that much, but I've got a funny feeling if I play it again now, I'll like it more.
I think the best part of this whole this whole re-release, remaster, or whatever you want to call it, of Reach is honestly just going to revitalize the graphics, because they look so dated. Like going back to the 360 version now.
The ghosting
is so bad.
Under 720p resolution.
It should look really nice.
Yeah, if they can, I hope they said they've done work on the textures, right? So like the textures are even up to like 4K, stuff like that.
Should look nice.
Should look great on One X and PC.
HDR, 4K. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it bodes well for. And you look at the further surrounding it on PC. This is a really critical thing. They nail the release of Reach, and then the additional games coming to Master Chief Collection. They've got that to talk about for the entirety of 2020, right up until the big hits. And obviously, this time next year, we'll have our hands on Halo Infinite. And speaking of Halo Infinite, let's address the elephant in the room. I think several of us on XboxEra, we did predict that we might see a closed beta or a flighting announcement for the multiplayer.
Well, I think we said we were hoping more than
we were hoping. We predicted and hoped, and
that
didn't happen.
So.
Nope.
But we do know now at this point that we've already heard, in fact, from Xbox and Jeff Keighley for the Game Awards, we're going to be seeing a brand new Ori and the Will of the Wisps trailer for the Game Awards, and we will also be seeing a trailer for Gears Tactics. So are we going to have a third surprise there from Microsoft? Because Microsoft are making noise. Let's find out. We won't know. It'll be a cool surprise to suddenly see a Halo Infinite multiplayer trailer, because they did say we would talk about flighting this year, and it is not out of the norm. They did it for Halo 5, and having that early beta really, really helped polish Arena. I know the campaign wasn't what everyone was looking for, right? But I thought Arena played well, and it still plays well today. Be really intrigued to see if they come through. So you can keep those little hope candles, those little flames of hope alive. But we don't know. We just don't know at this point.
I am super looking forward to Gears Tactics. It's
going to be fun.
Real good. Like I was a massive fan of Mario and Rabbids on the Switch. And Gears Tactics, as far as I'm concerned, switch gears straight over to a turn-based strategy game. Don't even worry about the third-person shooters anymore. Just switch it straight over.
That's assuming Gears Tactics is good. Because if it's bad,
I think it's going to be good.
It's a brief thing I want to mention. I read an interview with, and I can't remember the outlet. And I'm sure someone will put it in the comments if they're kind enough. It was posted in the main Xbox thread on ResetEra. I hate saying that name, ironically. Reset Era. And it was an outlet interviewing Aaron Greenberg about marquee titles, and it was something like the phrase they used was, do you not feel like the Xbox can't keep up when you see marquee titles like Death Stranding coming out, and Microsoft doesn't have anything like that? And Aaron dodged the question, was like, well, we released Gears 5, that was a marquee title. And I really wish he'd gone one step further and gone and scored 2 points higher on Metacritic, but he didn't. Yeah. But I was stunned.
Not like Kojima. Kojima gets asked what he thinks of the score is, and it's like, oh, the Americans thought it was bad because they only like shooty bang bang. So
yeah, Americans dumb, Europeans brave and thoughtful. Yeah,
sure. Like if you went by the most popular games on the, because he mentioned specifically France and Italy. If you looked at the most popular games sold in France and Italy, you'd think that they would hate Death Stranding because it's not FIFA.
Yeah. Do you know what? I could be wrong. All right, I haven't played Death Stranding and I don't care, but there's a small part of me that thinks there's a bunch of those kind of absolutely crazy, rabid PlayStation fanboys that just can't admit that maybe it's not their jam, that are playing through it and hating every minute.
No doubt.
Maybe. Who knows? But
regardless, this isn't the Death Stranding podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, we've got Halo Reach. What else have we got? We saw new footage for Flight Simulator. Which continues to look stunning, and I was so disheartened that I didn't get to try it. I went to join the queue, and it was like
that's not going to come out on Xbox.
Winding around the building at XO, and I was just a bit bummed that I didn't get to try it. But it just looks absolutely phenomenal. And credit to the team at Xbox, they had it all set up, huge cockpit-like stations with the full hands-on throttle and stick control setup for people looking to try it out. So I'm really bummed that I didn't get to try it, but
that's not actually going to come out on Xbox, is it? Doesn't look like it.
I think it is, but I think it's they'll get it out on PC, and then by the time we're down that road,
I think it'll be out on Scarlet.
Yeah, they'll kind of go on Xbox here's the console version. What's Xbox One? Sorry, never heard of it.
Yeah, I don't think it's coming out on Xbox One.
Either that, or they are going to have their caveat of why don't you just use the xCloud app on your Xbox One to play all the latest releases on these new Xbox Scarlet Blades? They'll do something like that. And in fact, talking about xCloud, there was a literal megaton of announcements surrounding xCloud.
Yeah, making Stadia look like a piece of garbage. Well,
already. Yeah, Google. Whoops.
Yeah, they
That anyone thought Stadia would be anything other than a fucking farce is itself a farce.
It's pretty funny.
Because straight up, anyone who was paying attention to the Google announcement for Stadia and the platform already knew that whatever Sony already has with PS Now and whatever Xbox has with xCloud is and will be, respectively, infinitely better than whatever the fuck Google tries to do.
Yep.
Google doesn't know gaming. They can hire as many people as they want, as many executives that have been in the industry as they want, but they don't have the people who had boots on the ground within the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have the teams to back up their statement. They just have marketing fluff. Yeah. Whereas
it's just I just don't understand the proposition from Stadia. Cloud gaming at this point in the technology we have today is an additive. It's a value add. It cannot be it's complementary way of playing. Yeah, it can't be a solo point of entry. You're quite right. And that is the beauty that Microsoft have with this is here's a console for those that want their native device. Here's a PC for those that really want to push the limit. And here's an easy access. Use whatever device you have to play either the games you own using your native device or games that have partnered with us in our server.
Use our competitor's controller if you want.
Yeah, I mean, DualShock 4, I couldn't tell you really because it was sounded like booze and ooze at XO, so there was some fanboys going boo to Sony's DualShock 4.
I heard that, and everyone kind of laughed it off.
The thing is, like, I had seen videos on Twitter of people in the xCloud preview already using DualShocks with it. They had already been doing that.
Yeah.
It's not something they've added. It was already there, and I assume they were just announcing it. But my thing is with Google, it's a double whammy. So not only have they come in completely unprepared for all of this, but they've even done it the wrong way. So the 1080-60 version, the free 1080-60 version is what they should have launched with. Why is that one coming out next year? Like, 1080
'Cause it's
60 is
free.
low bandwidth. Anyone could have jumped on and tried it out and gotten into it and maybe gotten hooked on Destiny or
because they wanted
whatever
people to
else.
get hooked on the high quality, but not even not everyone can afford the high quality shit right now. Most people can.
Just
Wasn't-
I don't know.
wasn't
They
there
just
like-
the one
wasn't there,
that's
like,
coming out
data
now.
analysis?
It's not
Wasn't there,
launching
like-
with achievements. It's not launching with the buddy pass
Yeah.
straight away. Get a friend
No.
in for free. They can't even
Nothing.
guarantee you're going to get your Chromecast Ultra that you've ordered with your Stadia Pro Founders.
yeah, they
Edition
can't
or
even
whatever.
fulfill all the pre-orders.
It's a shambles of a launch, and you know, as with any product or any company, there are some weird sports teams, diehards going, it's still gonna be great.
Oh God! Don't tell me there's going to be Stadia fanboys now.
There are already Stadia fanboys ready to defend and fight for Google out there. It's weird, but I mean, you even had one of their own developers that's making games for it, like saying, "Well, Google will just fucking cancel it," you know, like. Or that was a concern of theirs before they partnered with them.
Oh man, I mean, after what Microsoft showed, has Google ever cancelled something before it came out?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I think Phil Harrison at this point
Stadia will last 2 years and then it'll be dead.
have a difficult time.
Probably.
I'm gonna bet that's something I'm willing to bet money on.
What?
I'll bet
The Stadia will
$5. Stadia is gonna be dead in 2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
about right.
So that'll be
$5
around
to each of you.
episode.
If Stadia is still alive within 2 years, I give each of you $5. But if
Okay.
Stadia is not around in 2 years, each of you give me $5. How about that?
Sold. It's only like £3.
No, what do you mean? I agree with you. I don't reckon it'll be around either.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for
I'm
folks
willing to bet
jumping on that.
That's
It's just weird.
it's just a waste of fucking
Because-
money.
Because the thing is, within 2 years, even PS Now will be a decent service.
Yeah. PS
So-
Now is already a kind of decent service ever since the price dropped.
Yeah, they've still got a few things they need to clean up, but definitely within 2 years, it'll be a more than decent service.
And
So
much like xCloud, it'll be complimentary.
Yeah, but my thing with PS Now is the only thing that could potentially hold them back is not launching in enough countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that the problem with xCloud too? At least right now. It's
Well,
not launching.
it is
Well,
right
that's
now.
the
but
preview,
They
though.
announced,
that's
and
true.
this is a big deal. They announced, what was it? Japan, India. Good God, I'm trying to remember. Give me my countries, guys. Japan, India, Canada. I'm sure Canada was there.
Remember what it was?
Blimey. But yeah, suffice to say, they're actually releasing it in countries
Definitely
that
wasn't Australia.
are worth testing. No, it wasn't Australia yet. And I have to admit, I sat down last night and I felt if anyone can tell from the sound of my voice, I went to a public game show and came back with a cold. So I was feeling pretty rough last night before I came on today, and I really wanted to carry on playing through Jedi Fallen Order, which I picked up through CD keys because it was way cheaper than buying it direct from the Microsoft Store.
Yeah, Canada, India, Japan, and Western Europe next year.
There you go. But I was playing through because I've got the xCloud beta. I've got all the 50 games that they've thrown up there as part of the wider rollout of the public preview. But I've also got access to home streaming.
That's what I want. I want the home
I've made a decision now, or an opinion. I've coalesced an opinion. xCloud on your phone is okay for some games, but when you get into some more intense games that have a lot of different combat and a lot of different options and things happening on screen, it becomes almost too difficult to really understand what's going on. So I borrowed my wife's Android tablet and I quickly downloaded, logged in. I was playing Jedi Fallen Order with a Bluetooth pad in bed, you know, with it just propped up. It looked great on a little sort of 8-10 inch screen. And that I think is the massive. There was no lag. This was all over my 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. It looked great. There was some occasional compression, video artifacting, but otherwise it was genuinely flawless. And I was super impressed. And I could see myself using that more and more, almost to the point where last night I started to Google cheap Android tablets for me, because it makes sense. I did try and install BlueStacks, which is an Android emulator on my Surface, to see if I could emulate Android and try out Windows 10 cloud streaming via an Android emulator. But I think my Surface just didn't have enough RAM to actually get going with Android, which is hilarious. I got the app downloaded, but it just sat there on a grey screen. So I'll have to do some further investigation. I might try it on the PC and see what it can do. But it's here and it works really, really well. And similarly for cloud-based gaming on xCloud, I've tried a number of titles like Ace Combat. I tried Rad out from Double Fine. Plays great. It plays genuinely great, like I'm playing it right then and there on a native device, and it looks really good on those little screens.
Tekken 7's on there.
It's
That's coming to Game Pass, isn't it? Tekken 7?
I think so. Yeah, I think Zedox was saying he won a match on Tekken 7 over playing over xCloud, which either the other person was really bad or speaks volume to how good the technology is actually working for a competitive fighter. But yeah, it's a really, really cool it's a cool piece of technology, and I think it's going to really catch on for a lot of people that like playing games. And we'll be interested.
What would actually be a great streaming game? Gears Tactics would be a
turn-based,
real good streaming game. Yep.
You make your decisions and watch them play out. You don't have to worry about reaction. Yeah.
It's a perfect streaming game to play just on your phone whenever. Like, you could even probably use the touch controls just fine. You wouldn't even have to use a controller.
Yeah, that's the next step I'm interested in seeing, is how some of these games translate their PAL inputs, because the xCloud supported stuff is going to have touch versions of those controls directly built into the game. So
that's how Sony does it with remote play on PS4. And look, there's only so much you can do, because in the end, regardless of what you do, the touchscreen controls are gonna take over your screen. I don't know if any of you have used remote play for the PS4. The way Sony's implemented it, look, unless I probably lack too much imagination to think of a better way, but the way Sony does it seems probably as good as you can do it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
What else have we got? So I'm just trying to think of everything that was announced. I'm just kind of like riffing out of my head here. And I'll bring it up very quickly because I know you're not the biggest Sea of Thieves fan. We've got the new Tall Tale from Sea of Thieves launching next Wednesday, the Seabound Soul, which is like a narrative-driven Tall Tale, and it also brings fire to Sea of Thieves, which obviously leaks a few months back from one of the developers misspeaking on
you can set boats on fire, set sails on fire. Yeah.
You can set masts on fire. You can, if you leave your cooking going on in the ship too long, it can burn your ship down whilst you're on an island. Lots of amusing things, including it's a hand grenade effectively, so you can throw it at other pirates as well as shoot it from cannons. So that's pretty cool. We've got Minecraft Dungeons. I got to play that at
XO. Look cool.
It's really good fun. It's a bit difficult because there's a lot of depth, I think, which is surprising. There's a lot of depth in there, and playing it on a stage floor wasn't the greatest experience in terms of trying to concentrate and listen and work out the controls and the way the inventory works and how to equip gear. But I don't worry about any of this anymore. How's that game going to review? Because it's just going to drop on Game Pass, and me and a bunch of mates can just drop in and have a go and have some fun with it, and it doesn't cost me anything beyond my subscription fee, which thanks to Microsoft they gave out a bunch of stuff, and at FanFest I got a little rucksack, a little bum bag, and a little gift from Microsoft in there of an entire year of Game Pass Ultimate. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Speaking of year of Game Pass Ultimate, we just gave our first giveaway out. Props to the winner. I can't remember your Twitter name off the top of my head right now. I think it was Nano Polymuth or something like that. He won an entire year's worth of Game Pass Ultimate, and we're going to do another one soon. And for those listening on the stream, if you have anyone that plays Fortnite I'm going to give out 500 V-Bucks that I got from Microsoft as part of this little gift pack. I don't play
it was
Fortnite.
a sponsored event.
It's a sponsored event. No, it's not. But
Not sponsored by Epic Games.
no,
No, we're not, but
I'll read
XO
that
was.
code out. In fact, I'm just going to
XO
shut
was
up on
sponsored
YouTube.
by Fortnite.
Yeah. Was it?
Yeah, XO was actually sponsored by Fortnite. What are you doing?
There you go. That's the code. If you're watching this podcast, you just got yourself a free
You can't see
V-Bucks
the end of
code.
it.
Thanks, I'm redeeming that.
What?
Just
You
kidding.
can't redeem it.
Hold on, come. I don't know. On my
But,
screen, I couldn't see the end of it.
Well,
That's kind of
it
fair
looks
to
all right
people
on
who are
my screen,
listening.
so hopefully someone can pause it. Who knows? What else do we have apart from Minecraft Dungeons? We got a release date for that, right? Maybe that's the April one that you're taking a look
think
at.
maybe.
Maybe.
I remember something
Uh,
big. Hold on.
We've got Wasteland 3 launching in May 2020.
Yep.
Oh, Minecraft Dungeons just says 2020 apparently.
Oh,
Wait,
maybe it doesn't.
Hold on.
Crossfire X
Yeah, just 2020.
looks like a really simplified COD, but I guess it is basically CS:GO, right?
Crossfire. Yeah, it's basically
sort of, yeah.
CS:GO, yeah.
And that's getting a single player campaign from Remedy. But is it? I presume it's also coming with multiplayer, right? Otherwise,
Should be, yeah.
it's just a quick question. There was one as well, a game that they announced, which kind of caught me a bit by surprise because it started off with PC gaming legend, and it was Kart Rider Drift.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's big in Asia.
I've never heard of it.
It's free to play, isn't it?
It's
a
free to
free-to-play
play.
kart racing game.
And it's create your own character, Mario Kart clone, but with more emphasis on drifting and skill.
Yeah.
So, yeah, looking forward to giving that a go. And I think we can probably then at this point move on to the biggest elephant in the room, the biggest thing that we all heard, and I think that Microsoft is really their ace in the hole. And we've mentioned it as we've talked through this, but let's be honest here. Game Pass.
Yeah, I know. So much
Good.
is coming to it.
Good God, 50 odd games announced.
It's funny they still advertise Game Pass as 100 plus games. It's over 200 now. Like,
Yeah, it's like 230 at the moment. And I
like,
don't know why
it's-
that is.
No,
Probably 'cause they don't wanna
my
get people-
suspicion. Yeah, I suspect they're doing it because what happens if licensing issues crop up and all of a sudden they have to delist a whole bunch of games, like remove a bunch of games from it? Like, I guess 100 still sounds like a lot of games, like an overwhelming amount of games, and they know that they'll probably never ever drop below it. I guess.
Maybe that's
I don't
like their barometer for the minimum.
Yeah.
But yeah, the value now that Game Pass is bringing,
Or
and this will
devalue.
take all the devalue. We'll get to this. But let's just have a quick brainstorm here on all the stuff that's coming. So we've got. Correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm not a huge JRPG fan.
all the
Every
Final Fantasies.
Final Fantasy game, every
From seven
single
on.
one.
game,
From
basically
seven on.
3 Yakuza games.
Yeah.
Yes, the Yakuza was the big one, I reckon. Like
That was the big one, yeah. And
Kingdom
all the
Hearts.
and all the Kingdom Hearts remasters. Yep.
And they're all coming to Xbox One in 2020.
Yep. Straight into Game Pass.
I can't remember if this was Game Pass or not. I saw that Planet Coaster, the roller coaster
yeah, that
tycoon
looked pretty neat.
game, it looks gorgeous, but I question how well that's going to run on the original Xbox or the Xbox One S, because it's quite a CPU intensive game on PC. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays. God, there's just so much.
Well, I mean, I've got the list in front of me if you want to know it.
Oh, go on, give us the list.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Everything.
Carrion, Chris Tales, CRIS, Cree Tales, Chris Tales, Cyber Shadow, Darksiders 3, which is pretty good.
Wow.
Double Kick Heroes, Drake Hollow, Edge of Eternity, Final Fantasy 7, 8 Remastered, 9, 10 HD Remastered,
God.
10 2 HD Remastered, 12 Zodiac Age, 13, 13 2, Lightning Returns, and 15. And I believe 14 is coming as well.
My God.
I believe.
Yeah, the
Phil
14's
confirmed
the
that in
infamous MMO
interviews.
Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forager, Haven, It Lurks Below, which is pretty cool. Levelhead, Life is Strange 2, episodes 4 and 5. My Friend Pedro.
Yes,
I don't know if
really
you
want to
guys.
play that.
Yeah, that game looks really, really cool. I know the developer of it. He was posting his updates on Twitter heaps. Like for like 2 years or more, he kept posting little clips of the game, like all the stuff he was tinkering with. It looks really, really cool. Pandemic, Pogs or Pogs. She Dreams Elsewhere, Skatebird, which looked pretty funny, like a little
Skatebird looks great fun.
yeah, like
Yeah.
that little Tony Hawk. And yep, the big one for me, Streets of Rage 4, Scourgebringer, Superland, Tekken 7. Yep, there it is, Tekken 7. Tuhu Lunar Nights, The Escapists 2,
Wow.
The Red Lantern, The Red Strings Club, The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, I
Jesus.
know.
It's
Unbelievable.
just bonkers at this point.
Vambrace, Cold Soul, West of Dead, which looked
West
awesome.
of the
Dead
Dead
looks
looks
really
fucking
cool.
great.
That
Ron
looked-
Perlman
Yeah.
narrating that game. It just
No,
fucking sent shivers down my spine. Holy
West
shit.
of Dead looked great. You know what it reminded me of? And don't groan when you hear this. Just in the style and everything, it reminded me a little bit of Killzone Liberation from the PSP.
Mhm.
Really, really cool little game. But this looked better, but it just
so you mean
reminded me.
handheld
What do
wannabe
you
Halo.
think about the cartoony graphics, though?
Yeah, in the style, the isometric. Yeah, it
I
looked
love
really
it.
cool.
Love it.
And the other big one, the Yakuza Zero, Kiwami 2.
All on Game Pass.
Yep, all of
everything
that straight into
everything
Game
on that
Pass.
list is on Game Pass.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And yet,
I mean,
no
if you're an
Persona.
Xbox owner
Fucking
and you
God
buy
damn it.
two
Oh,
first
actually,
party games a month,
sorry. There's more.
year,
There's more.
you
Age of
just-
Empires 2 Definitive Edition, Age of
Oh my God.
Empires, Age of Wonders, Planetfall, Hearts of Iron 4, Lego The Ninjago Movie, Rage 2, which is these are all now. The ones I'm reading are all out now. Remnant from the Ashes, Talos Principle, Tracks, the train set game.
Yes, I downloaded that and I've been playing it with my kid yesterday, and it's great. And massive props because I know you suggested this to me. I forgot this was a feature. Quite right. I set up Copilot on my Xbox One
yeah,
in my
Copilot.
lounge, helping my little boy play through some of his first forays into Xbox, and he's having an absolute whale of a time. But I can't get him to stop playing Goose Game on Switch because his little laugh when the goose is just being a dick to everybody. It's just so endearingly charming that it just even my wife was like, he's not a big gamer. She was like, can I play? And she and him were just sitting there playing Goose Game on Switch. It was brilliant. But yeah, Copilot on Xbox, massive, clever
it's
feature. Really, really like it because all those tricky bits, I can just kind of give him a little nudge and do the jumps for him and stuff, all stuff like that. It's
Sort
really
of like how your learner driver, your driving instructor has his own brake and accelerator.
it's just really handy.
That he can just
It's really
great.
good.
Another game that we haven't talked about that made an appearance again. We haven't seen it for a
This
little
is probably
while.
my favourite thing from the show. If I'm on the right
the
track,
Artful Escape. Yeah,
I thought it looked superb.
it looks even better than it did
I'm not familiar
when they
with it.
first showed it.
I was grinning ear from ear
Looked
when that
awesome.
trailer came out. The music,
Yeah,
the visuals.
Great.
I have no idea what it's about. I just
Yeah,
can't wait
it's
to try it.
it's developed.
Oh,
It's
that
developed
one.
by a guy from Melbourne.
An Aussie, huh?
And I am going to do my best to try and get him on the podcast, I think. Because I have a little bit of a connection to him. 6 degrees of separation, you could say. So I want to try and get him on the podcast because that game looks awesome.
Is the Artful Escape launching into Game Pass though, or is it just a release?
I don't know. And that's the thing. I assume we'll find out closer to release. And another game that wasn't, I don't believe it was shown at XO, but revealed just before it.
Yeah.
The Falconeer.
Yes,
Which
again looks excellent.
Yeah. And we also got the developer of the Falconeer, Thomas Sala, or I hope it's Thomas and not Thomas. Thomas Sala, we got him in the Discord, and I mean, hopefully I can say this. He's said he's happy to come on the podcast to talk
Excellent.
about the Falconeer.
I like name dropping these
Um,
people because it forces them to do it.
Yeah. So he said he's happy to do the podcast. And yeah, we were chatting to him a lot in the Discord, and obviously a lot of us drew those comparisons to Panzer Dragoon, but he actually said it's more like Crimson Skies
Oh wow.
than it is Panzer Dragoon. So, but I mean that's equally as exciting for most Xbox people.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I did probe him about whether Falconeer was
GP.
coming to Game Pass, and he said he couldn't answer that question even if he wanted to.
Oh wow.
So
Phenomenal.
again, I think it was sort of like Ori. I remember Thomas mentioning that they had to work out a deal for
Yeah.
whether Ori would come to Game Pass. So my assumption is that
There's a
Falconeer
commercial discussion to be had.
Yeah, I assume that the Falconeer is in a similar boat. It's something that they'll have to. He'll have to have a chat with Phil about, I guess, or whoever the Game Pass rep is that deals with the developers. But Falconeer looks really, really cool. He's making it all on his own.
Wow.
Except for the audio, he's getting help with the audio, but the game itself, it's all just him, and it looks great. And
it's just a crazy time for games.
yeah,
I can't believe that list. Like,
unreal.
and just worth mentioning, several of those titles that you read out are already on the xCloud preview right now.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them. So there is a lot. There's a lot.
And speaking of which, they also mentioned that I know a while back, I think on a podcast episode, and if not, we definitely spoke about it in the Discord. But a lot of us suspected that Microsoft would eventually supplant Gold from Game Pass Ultimate with xCloud, and they took that first step at XO by saying that xCloud's going to go straight into Game Pass Ultimate next year. So,
and the next step at E3 2020 will be multiplayer's free for everyone. We're phasing Gold out. It's going to happen. You heard it here first. We're pretty confident in this prediction. So, look, I mean, that's everything that was announced at XO. The last thing I'll mention before we talk about some of the reactions from around the world, of which there is some decent conversation to be had, is just on XO itself. I think that they put on a really good show, and they effectively, from my perspective, told a lot of the naysayers going into that to shut the fuck up. Here are loads of games, and I've got to give them props for that. I know that we have been staunch critics of the format of Inside Xbox.
Yeah. For sure. Looks like we've lost
of it. Oh,
yeah.
That was a weird noise. I don't know what that noise was.
Almost lost you sick there.
Yeah, it just did something really odd, and my PC made a really strange noise. I'm not sure what that was. But yeah, I think that they really, really knocked it out of the park, and I've got to give mad props to those guys for everything that they did for that show, because it was really, really well done.
Well, yeah,
and
I mean,
venue
no one
arena was fantastic.
No one has been more critical of their shows than me, and I've got to say that was probably their best gaming show. Full stop. E3, Gamescom, XO, Inside Xbox, whatever you want to call it. Probably their best show since E3 2014. I reckon.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, really good. It had everything. I mean, put aside the fact that some of the games, like the funny thing is, most of those games aren't even games I'm overly interested in. I'm talking strictly about the show. So they had new IPs from big studios. They had a good old-fashioned Betrayalton with Yakuza coming to Xbox. They had Japanese stuff. They had indie stuff. They had the game, like they had everything pretty much. Like they couldn't have had much more. It was really, really good.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. And also I got to meet the infamous Klobrille. Who and it's worth mentioning, I think has done He's a really nice guy, and he kind of came out of nowhere as well. I was standing there with a friend of mine. I got this tap. I was like, "Hey man, is that John?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Klobrille." And you know, we sort of hung out and watched the XO together. I just want to give a quick shout out to him because when if I rewind maybe a year or 2 years, he's been fortunate enough to get some form of insider knowledge. I didn't get an opportunity to ask him how he gets the information he gets, but there is one thing that he does do, which is remain overwhelmingly positive in a sea of negativity out there. He's never one to moan. He's always giving you the good news, like good news. This is coming. This is fun. And he's constantly doing it. It's not his job. He just does it because he enjoys it. So I just wanted to give a mad shout out to him. It was really nice to bump into him at XO. But let's talk about the reaction from perhaps those that are not the biggest Microsoft fans in the world.
Everything was a cartoon.
So there have been a number of reactions. So the first one is a great one. So everything was a cartoon. So a lot of the games that were announced were not over-the-shoulder, third-person, narrative-driven, super realistic, my father hates me games. I think that's a good thing. It shows a depth and breadth of the video games that are available to play. And I can't really understand that criticism. Like, what do you want Microsoft to do? Do you want them to just rip off other artists and do that stuff? And that's not even to say that those more serious, in-depth, narrative-driven games aren't coming, because we've still yet to hear from the initiative.
So what I don't understand is why is a serious narrative-driven game predicated on having a realistic art style?
I have no idea.
Like, can we have a serious
bizarre
narrative-driven game that's cartoony? Yes.
Apparently
We've had
not.
multiple times. So fuck off. Thanks. Your opinion has been duly noted and will be promptly disposed of as it should. Straight up.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, what? So you want every game to look like fucking
I can't understand.
Goddamn AAA blockbuster movie from Hollywood. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you want that?
It strikes me a little bit of moving the goalposts. A couple of years back or a year back, it was that Xbox has no games. Well, now Xbox has games. Xbox has no games that are realistic. It's just this continual. And I think at that point, you've just got to regard a lot of those arguments that you hear online as frankly disingenuous.
I mean, I saw plenty of people. People on Twitter complaining about Gears 5, saying that they've tried to copy too many of Sony's games with it anyway.
Yeah, no. Like, it disappoints me too, because you see this argument a lot in movies, unsurprisingly, where you have a not so silent camp of people that only want to see live action movies ever for anything, even though animation proves time and time again that it is just better objectively for certain mediums, like sci-fi, like fantasy. Like, you can't, like, recently, even superhero movies. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was the best superhero movie, not in small part because it was animated. And animated so well, And you're trying to take that shit in games and be like, oh, if it's not realistic, then it doesn't matter. Oh, fuck you.
Hell, man, the animated part was one of the best parts of Kill Bill.
People work their asses off on these art styles, right? They have entire teams dedicated to making something look as beautiful as it can and as aesthetically pleasing as they can in a way that makes sense for the product, in a way that makes sense for the world they're trying to create. And you're just saying, fuck you, make it realistic. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and more to that point, I find that the games that are somewhat stylistic or somewhat driven by artistry rather than realism are the games that remain ageless. They just okay to play all the time.
You look at Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker on GameCube, and that game is fucking timeless. You can go back and play it on original hardware right now, and it would be as beautiful as the day it came out. and it's
Yeah.
only got enhanced when they made the HD version.
Yeah.
And
I don't
upped
like
the
the
color
game, but
palette.
it still looks stunning.
Like
Yeah.
that game is practically ageless. You can't. And you look at similar games in that era that were released with more realistic art styles, and they look like garbage.
Yeah, that's right.
Like the original Resident Evils look like trash,
Yeah.
absolute trash compared to what we have now. You know what I mean? So go fuck yourself. No, it's disrespectful to the people creating these games, to the people spending their fucking lives trying to make something good for you guys. And it's like, no, fuck you. It's not realistic enough.
Yeah.
Piss off. You don't even deserve to play these
doesn't
fucking
count.
games.
And the other argument that we hear as well, and I think there's a lot of concern that Game Pass is, and this is the phrase I'm using, is devaluing games. And I'm not really understanding that point of view. You know, and I think Phil Spencer did a really, really great interview where he effectively was saying to those people out there,
Don't worry about our bottom line.
why do you care? Like, it's my job and my team's job to worry about our bottom line. But as a consumer, go do what's best for you. Go play where you want to play. Buy the games in the way that you want to buy them. If that's Game Pass, if that's at retail, if that's digitally, if you want to own them outright, whatever. He doesn't care. The Xbox team doesn't care.
And to the people,
go do what's right with you.
And to the people who are co-opting an actual legitimate good faith argument of what happens to the developers who like participate in the system, that can be viewed as a legitimate argument, but you guys aren't using it as a legitimate argument, and you know you're not using it as a legitimate argument. Stop taking a good faith argument like that and using it in bad faith, please, for everyone's sake. All you're doing is pissing people off that would otherwise have spent their time doing something productive with their lives. Just piss off. You're just wasting time and being a troll.
It feels like there's a lot of fear out there now, and I don't know why that is. It's like sports teams or something. There's like, oh no, there's another viable product out there.
Who fucking cares what the big fucking corporation is doing with their goddamn money? It's not your money. It's their money. They can do whatever the fuck they want with it.
If they're saving you money, don't complain about it.
If they're harming the environment or if they're actively ruining lives, then be my guest and hate them, because we have plenty of corporations that do that. I see no evidence of life ruining or environment ruining right now with a fucking subscription service for video games. So shut the fuck up. Thanks.
Yeah. It's really true. It's a bizarre thing to see online.
The thing is, though, like, even if Microsoft was losing money hand over fist, why does it bother you? They are $1 trillion company. They
can afford
just
to take
fine.
that hit.
They will survive just fine.
They know they have financial PhDs, finance PhDs working in their back pocket, doing whatever it is they do best to make sure that they're not losing money on these risks.
The idea is, guys, they will bleed a little bit of money to get as many subscribers on there as possible, with the idea that in the future there'll be so many subscribers they'll be swimming in money, and then they can fund all the games you want on there.
Yeah,
that is.
This is what I like, and this is another thing that I think, I can't remember if it was Aaron Greenberg or Phil Spencer said it first. I think both obviously went in there with this talking point, and it was that, you know, I see the argument online that it's gonna, and this was the original argument, right? You had posters on Reset Era saying that every game was going to suddenly become this MTX driven games as a service, lock you in, play it all the time. That's how they make their money back. And I think, and it's literally evident by now that the complete opposite is true. The market in general is realizing that, and I've said this before on a podcast, that I do not have time to have every game be the only game I play. I like my games to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And what I am seeing on Game Pass at the moment is more and more titles that are there. They are a one and done. They are doing exactly what they say on the tin that they're going to do, and then I can move on to the next game. And that's an era that I am enjoying going back to. There are so many little games, little gems that I would never have looked at, paid money for, or gone out to buy, or even picked up, that I have now tried on Game Pass just because I can. and it's brought me into new genres that I would never have originally played. The biggest one that I can think of most recently would be Lonely Mountains Downhill, which was a complete flash in the pan. It consumed my life from an addictive point of view for like 3 days, where I was absolutely dead set on unlocking every bike part, every course, beating all the times, and I've done it and I loved it, and great. And if they release more DLC for that game, or if there's more tracks, I'll pick them up. But I can move on to the next game now, and I don't have to.
But the thing
worry.
is, people will not stay subscribed if all the service is filled with his microtransaction filled games
Exactly.
as
And
a service games.
and that's not even mentioning the fact that all of this shit happened before Game Pass.
Yeah,
Game
I know.
Pass didn't suddenly come onto the scene and look, every game is a games as a service title.
Happened way before Game
We've
Pass.
had that since the beginning, since the middle of last generation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, just
Yeah.
stop with the disingenuous arguments. We've fucking debunked these things millions of times, but you keep fucking saying them. Stop.
If anything,
It's
I think
just
it's
wasting time.
it's the revival
Live your
now. We
fucking
are
life,
seeing the
Jesus.
revival of AA unique experiences that are there. They're good games, and you can play them through, and you can have fun with them, and you can move on to the next one that comes out the next month, or whatever the case may be.
I actually think it might go in the opposite direction, and we will start to see some developers, potentially even indie developers, release their games first on Game Pass.
Like a Game
before
Pass
being-
exclusive.
Game Pass exclusive for like the first month, and then you can buy it after that, if anything. Like it's great. I would have never played Hellblade otherwise. I would have never played Gardens Between, which is a real good game.
Really good puzzle game.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah,
It's real good.
Yeah, if you're not on the bandwagon yet, I think Microsoft are going to quite clearly make this the hill that they will die on, and you should probably just jump on board. And people saying, they're giving them away for a buck for 3 months and all this special offer stuff.
They are.
This is the whole point. Microsoft themselves posted the life hack, where you can buy 3 years of gold and convert it into Game Pass Ultimate. The reason they're doing that is that when Scarlet launches, you look at what you've got able to do, and it changes the value proposition, because suddenly everything you currently own works. Everything that's been on Game Pass for the last year is still there. And when you pick up your console day one, you don't have to sit there and make that decision of, I guess I can only afford 2 of the launch titles.
No.
Everything
you have will be
pretty much anything that it launches with is going to be on Game Pass, and you can just go, I've just got a shit ton of new games to play, and that is undeniably a tantalizing subject. Not to mention as well, we've also got Xbox All Access that they launched. I think it's out in Australia now.
Yep.
It launched in the UK this Friday, just gone. Not sure about the US. I think it's already out there. And that is,
been out
again,
there for a while.
lowering that cost barrier for entry. You don't have to drop 500 quid in one hit. You can pay £20 a month and get a games console with Game Pass, hundreds of games, and you're just good.
By the way, for any Australians that happen to be listening, getting an Xbox One X through Telstra All Access is now cheaper than buying the Xbox individually and getting 2 years of Game Pass. It's actually cheaper now because the price has gone back up. So the price of the One X was temporarily dropped to $499 for like a week. And Telstra All Access came out at the same time and worked out to be about $40-50 more expensive. Wow. It's now about $50 cheaper to get it through Telstra All Access, just as a sort of a PSA.
So it's a worthy PSA.
Yeah. And one question I wanted to ask, for all these people so worried about Microsoft's bottom line, I wonder if they're also worried about Apple's. A year of Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
Anyone that gets an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac or...
Yeah, are you worried about all these free trials? All these corporations are bleeding money.
That is a new phone. Apple swapped my phone over for a new one, and I woke up the other day and I had a year of Apple Plus. Man, poor Apple.
Lucky you.
Another $1 trillion company losing all this money.
Yeah, that's bonkers. So
imagine caring about corporations like that. Imagine caring.
It's weird, right?
Ludicrous.
It's a weird world that we live in. So that was XO, and that's pretty much, Microsoft finally setting the scene for the next year. And you think about what we've got to look forward to now. So we've got the Game Awards, we've got a couple of extra trailers dropping. We'll roll into the new year, and this is when the conversation starts heating up, and we'll start to hear more about Scarlet. Big questions still remain. Are we going to see, similar to how how both Sony and Microsoft revealed the PS4 and the Xbox One, are we going to see like a February, March press event where they show the console, they talk about it, they talk about the technology, they show some games before we then have the wider blowout at E3, or are we just going to see it all happen at E3?
No, I think they need to have an event.
I think they'll have their own event too.
And you know what? Do it like the Surface event.
Yeah.
And have Panos there. Panos needs to be.
That guy could sell the show to the
can sell
Eskimos,
the
could
air
sell
you
me the air I breathe.
Yeah, Panos needs to
I
be
love the
there,
way-
and I need to hear a story about his children and the new Xbox and how they inspired the design of the Xbox.
You're gonna have a
but
handle. Is that where you're leading into?
Yeah, Panos is great.
He's
very good.
he's super entertaining. And one thing that they keep mentioning, and they mentioned it a couple of times, there was an interview that Aaron Greenberg did where they talk about the power of the new box. And, we all know that it's going to be a vastly improved CPU. We know that the GPU is already going to be there.
Yeah.
But one thing they mentioned was frames per second, which is they keep talking and they keep using it as a soundbite, 120 FPS, right? This is going to be, this is my opinion, but this is you're going to hear this a lot, right? Is the higher frame rate you have on your device from an xCloud perspective, the better the streaming version of that will feel. So if it's 120 FPS native, it gives more response. Well, I can't think of the best phrase.
Leeway.
It feels more responsive and more leeway in terms of bandwidth down the pipe to you, so they can cap it and make it feel like a native 60 title, where it really does feel.
Well, I mean,
Like,
it's sort of it's the Killer Instinct principle, isn't it? It's the same way Killer Instinct sort of, again, I'm not savvy enough to explain it properly, but Killer Instinct under the hood runs at 90, so that it's like super responsive, particularly online. Like the net code was a part of why they went that way, and I assume that xCloud has a similar theory behind it.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what the differentiators are going to be. And I think, outside of Game Pass, that's the really the big question, because typically since 360 and PS3, it's been the HD console twins, right? They both pretty much do the same stuff. We've had Phil come out and say this week at XO that they are not going to be in that position again, where they are more expensive with less power. They're going to bat with what they want. That's best for the players and best for the developers making games for it.
Yeah,
where they won't be hamstrung. Reassuring stuff to hear from a console perspective. Even though I have a significantly powerful PC, I'm still fully on board with getting my console day one. There's just something unique about console experience that I love and enjoy and will continue to enjoy.
And that day one Xbox Scarlet's going to have Halo Infinite on it.
Yep.
God, just the idea that Halo is going to be good
Day
again.
one with the Scarlet.
Yeah, can't wait. Should
That's
be
going
good.
to be a fucking incredible.
It's going to be good.
It's also good that our new Elite 2 controllers will be working straight away. Have you got yours yet, John?
I have, and it's got a nifty little addition. I'll just hold it up to the camera there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If only it wasn't so
Thanks,
blurry.
Microsoft. Do you know what? I wish it was green. Was that blurry? I can't.
Yeah.
I'm the tiny
A
window
little
on
bit.
Skype right now. So let me. Is that focusing now? Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, there it
There
goes.
we
There
go.
it
There
goes.
you
There it
go.
goes.
Got to give mad props to this pad. I think one of our team
Real
on
good.
the XboxEra website is doing a review. I think Falcon is putting together a review. This is a superb piece of technology. And one interesting tidbit that came out of XO was Phil said something about the controller, and he said, your Elite 2 is going to work. That's not to, and I think this was the phrase he used, and I'm paraphrasing here. That's not to say we won't do something with our controller. So I don't know what that's going to be. I would imagine it's going to be something similar to the PlayStation share button. There'll be like a social media-esque. But the simple fact is you just be able to map it to a paddle, I think.
That's right.
When it comes to it.
And I've been very vocal about the fact that it has an internal battery, and it's still
a really good internal battery.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit annoyed that it's an internal, but having said that, the battery life on this thing is ridiculous. So I got the controller day one on the 4th of November. Yesterday was the 16th, and that was the first time I had to charge it.
Wow.
And it didn't even die yet. All it did was pop up one time with the message saying your battery is low, and I just started charging it straight away.
What I love.
How often do you play? That's the thing.
Almost every day.
Huh.
Almost every day. And that lasted 12 days. So it's not like I was doing 6-hour sessions each time or anything like that, but I play almost daily. So either way, regardless, it's a shit ton of battery life. And don't forget, that's battery life based on out-of-the-box battery, which would not have been full.
Yeah.
Never full out of the box. So safe to say, it's a 2-week battery.
Yeah. And what I really love as well is the case. So they come in a little carry case.
Yeah, it's great.
And now it's got a little hole in it. You put your USB-C charger in. It plugs directly into my USB 3 port on my PC. So I've got the cable behind my monitor on my desk, and the case is just sitting there. And when I'm done, I just plonk it in. Like, it just feels so cool to be able to do that and not worry or fret. And the torque screws on the sticks to replicate the 360 sticks is just great.
I did loosen it back up again. It felt just that little bit too tight for me, so I did end up going back to the normal stick looseness or whatever you want to call it. But
that's the technical term.
It did feel a little bit too tight for my liking, but I do appreciate. Like I've got now that I've moved the Wii U up to my daughter's bedroom, it's completely changed the setup of my game room now. So I've got a nice little USB-C charger plugged in just behind the couch because I've got the Wii, the Switch Pro controller, and now this. So it's good. I can plug it in but keep playing wirelessly, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Now that the charger is right next to my couch, it's great. And my kids are now addicted to Mario Kart 8 and Mario Party 10. They play it all the time.
Yeah. I'm loving just the connectivity of games and the fact I can play anything anywhere. If anyone that's listening does have a good recommendation for a cheap Android tablet for my xCloud purposes, please shout, because I'd be intrigued.
They need to get that shit on iOS and hurry up about it.
Yeah. That was the one glaring missing feature.
I need xCloud on this thing right here. This bad boy right here. iPad
my
Pro.
DualShock 4 is already synced to my iPad and my phone. For remote play, and now I just need xCloud there.
You can just sync your new Elite controller to your iPad and just use that.
Yeah, but the problem is remote play will only support a DualShock 4. That's the problem.
That's stupid.
You're trying to do best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, so I don't want to have 2 Bluetooth controllers when I can realistically have the one. So I just use a DualShock 4 as my
found, is at least with the DualShock 4, the battery, because the LED is running at full power all the fucking time, the battery life when you hook up a DualShock 4 to an iPad sucks. Like really
the battery life when you hook up a DualShock 4 to anything sucks.
Oh yeah, but it sucks more than usual. At least on the PS4 you can dim the light so it lasts longer.
I know.
Yeah. But you can't do that.
Hopefully
on the iPad,
they'll sort that out.
About 2 hours.
Hopefully they'll sort that out with DualShock 5. Hopefully.
Yeah. How about no LED, please?
It's the most exciting time. There's like this whole precursor to the next gen is literally the best. You get the hottest takes. You get every platform maker out there trying to get you on board and sell you the product by doing absolutely crazy shit. And the only thing I can say at this point is I've got no idea what Sony are going to bring to the table. I think they were quoted. I think it was Jim Ryan was quoted of saying with regards to first-party editions coming to PS Now, that they have to treat them with the care and respect they deserve. I'm paraphrasing again, but something along those lines. Effectively, we sell shit tons of these, and we don't want to give up money. Fair enough.
Look,
Um,
Jim says what he needs to say when he needs to say it. Jim was also telling us to think of the children when it came to crossplay, and now they have crossplay. Jim was also talking about who the fuck would play old games, and they now have
backwards
compatibility.
Yeah.
Jim will say whatever he needs to say. So when it makes sense for Sony, they will put first-party games straight into PS Now.
Yeah, when it makes sense. And I wonder if all of those people that worry about the devaluing of games and how it doesn't make any business sense will suddenly have a peculiar change of heart.
Probably.
Probably. Yeah, but it's definitely a really exciting time for the industry. So yeah, random tangent, but obviously this is episode 10 of the XboxEra podcast. That's, it's a big number. We launched in, I think, was it late July this year? We put this little shindig together, and it's growing slowly but surely. We want to make sure that we are a really good place, not just to talk about Xbox in general, but gaming in general. And beyond that, we want to bring as many developers and interviews and guests along for the journey that perhaps especially don't get as much limelight as they deserve as they go through this. So we're working hard behind the scenes to bring more folks into this. And certainly if there are any questions out there that you guys want us to cover as we walk through these episodes, we usually give you a heads up. We're bi-weekly, so every other Sunday. We would wholeheartedly love for the audience to sort of, send us what you want to know or what you want to talk about. If there's a topic that you want us to tackle, and we'll try our best to accommodate and bring it up. Say again?
We'd love to hear it.
We do love to hear it. Yeah. Outside of that, what have you guys been playing? Anything good lately?
Pokemon. Pokemon. Been playing a lot of Pokemon.
More Modern
on
Warfare.
Switch.
Modern Warfare
Modern
and Black
Warfare.
Desert.
Rocket League, like always.
Modern Warfare, man. I haven't gone back to it since launch. Completed the campaign. Multiplayer. Although, didn't I read that a 200-player battle royale has been data mined from the PC version and is apparently leaking? It's coming soon. Gotta dread how that's going to perform on console, right?
Yeah, Jesus.
Thank God I'm on PC.
Yeah, I did not get the PC version, but I think I know. A lot of my pals have gone back to Battlefield 4 of all things, not Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 1, but Battlefield 4. It's like I had a little resurgence amongst my group of pals, just enjoying the modern game world, I guess.
Yeah.
I've been playing Goose Game with my kids on Switch, but I downloaded Remnant from the Ashes.
Game Pass.
Came to Game Pass. It looked intriguing. It's a co-op RPG, procedurally generated to some degree. I also got a handy little pack from Microsoft, an Xbox One themed hat for my character. Okay, I'll give it a go. Thanks, MS. But yeah, outside of that, I can't think what was the other game I downloaded from Game Pass that I have been enjoying. The Outer Worlds, I've started dipping my toes into. I'm not usually an RPG guy, but from what I understand, it's a fairly one and done type of game.
It's much shorter.
Much shorter, so I don't mind investing some time to kind of fill that out. So I started playing that through.
Similar.
And yeah, obviously I've been playing Jedi Fallen Order. Is that the title? Like they all merge into one.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Yep.
Again, I know that Falcon is working on the review for XboxEra, but some quick thoughts for me on that game. I had a lot of faith in it because Respawn are doing it, and Respawn did Titanfall 2. But I have to admit, and feel free to tell me if you think I'm wrong, audience, but I'm not I'm not that impressed. It's fun because it's Star Wars, so it's always fun being in that world and fun wielding a lightsaber. But the combat is rudimentary. It doesn't feel particularly deep yet. I've unlocked a couple of additional abilities. It feels really janky. The animations and the player movement. It just feels off. Yeah, and there's a lot of backtracking and messing about that. I don't know. Like I compare it to something that I really did enjoy from a Star Wars universe game, and that was like Force Unleashed, which it's great fun.
Love those games.
You know, just throwing people about and being a badass Jedi, and it just doesn't feel as nuanced and as fun to play. It's graphically really pretty, but
That's what I was worried about leading into it.
I'm again, Game Pass makes me really think about my purchases, and every now and then I let that hype train get to me, and I drop 40-50 quid on a game, and then I'm immediately filled with regret.
Well,
so
I know something I
lesson learned.
learned. I got very excited when I noticed that Jedi Fallen Order had Xbox bundles. So what I tend to do when a game is bundled with Xboxes is I give it a few weeks, maybe a month, and then scour Gumtree. And you will always find people letting those codes go for next to nothing on Gumtree.
Why?
So, I don't, because a lot of people just buy the console and think, oh, I'm getting this free game, and I'll flog the game, and it's like I'm getting the console cheaper, and they don't care. So I got, basically at launch, I got Assassin's Creed Origins for like 24 Australian dollars.
That's not
pretty
bad.
much at launch.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So like, I'll wait for Jedi Fallen Order codes to appear on Gumtree, and because I do want to play it, because I'm sure it'll be okay. But everything you just said to me is virtually what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Leading in, like what I had seen. So,
and bear in mind that's my opinion. I think Falcon, conversely, he's loving the game. I guess different horses for courses, I guess, but it just didn't feel particularly responsive, and it kind of it just makes me think a little bit when I'm playing it. But
especially because Titanfall is so damn responsive.
Yeah, it's the thing. It just feels like a different developer's made it, and it's odd to me. And there's a lot of.
Well, they did say the team for the new Star Wars game was an entirely like built from the ground up team at Respawn that's like full of ex Sony Santa Monica devs. So
yeah, I was
but God of War plays great.
I was swearing profusely at the game. They have these sections where it's similar to Tomb Raider, right? Where your character slides down something, and you're doing that, and it just feels so janky to control. And then you've got to jump at the end and grab a rope, and stuff that you would think would just work. It's just like my character was like shooting off because it didn't feel right to control, and it's like falling off the edge of thing. I'm just like, what is this? I don't feel like a badass Jedi right now. I feel like a crappy Jedi. I feel like a wannabe Jedi, and that makes me sad. But there you go.
I did manage to finish Link's Awakening on Switch.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, real good. I like how short that game is. Like, or at least it felt short. I don't know if it actually was short, but the way it was paced and the way it was done, to me, it felt like a very short Zelda game. And I say that in a good way. Because I don't have the time anymore to sink 60, 70, 90 hours into a Zelda game. Right? So I liked it. It was good. Is there issues, yes, but good.
Is there anything else coming out now between now and Christmas? Like big game wise? I think that's it now, right? We've done our...
I think that's it.
Interesting. So it's quiet on all fronts now. Now's the time to dive into your Game Pass back catalogs and start smashing out.
Start looking at what your relatives want for Christmas.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Might look at Rage 2
subscription codes, please.
got Rage 2. So, I remember posting back when Rage 2 came out, and I said, "Hold off, it'll be on Game Pass within 6 months." And here we are, 6 months later. There's Rage 2.
There it is. I think
same with Doom Eternal, people. Doom Eternal will be the same.
That's another thing that I forgot to mention. We had at XO they had EA's chief of technology on stage, and I think they did a quick skit on Madden in the UK because of course that makes sense. Outside of that irregularity, is this EA admitting that it doesn't want to fund and run its own cloud streaming service? Perhaps are we going to see FIFA exclusively on xCloud?
Or are we going to see an EA Access add-on for Game Pass Ultimate? Pay an extra $5 a month, and all your EA Access library will be in there.
Yeah, but okay, that wouldn't make sense though, because EA Access is already $5 a month, so I might as well just
don't worry about the money component. I'm saying as in, so let's say you don't own an Xbox, and you just pay for streaming. So then, okay, add an extra $5 and you get all the EA Access titles streamed to your phone.
Pay for EA Access, but just on xCloud.
That's right. That's right.
So, so think about it like from a console warrior perspective. If you're on another machine, you have to buy the game outright. Whereas if you are just running, if you own an Xbox and you just want to get EA Access via xCloud, you can play all of the latest games streaming with your friends. So playing a full fidelity FIFA game anywhere because you can.
Yep.
Interesting times come ahead.
Do we have a little bit of time to quickly skim through the top 5 this week?
I think we do.
Save it?
I think we do. No, let's do it. I think top 5, was it Metroidvanias this week?
Yep, I went with top 5 Metroidvanias. I did want to do that. I did want to do that when we had Thomas, but I thought it was too on the nose. So I thought I'll save it. Especially, anyway, I don't want to spoil anything, but yes. I went 2D Metroidvanias because I am a firm believer that 3D Metroidvanias are a thing, like Metroid Prime, like Tomb Raider,
and indeed, like
even
the new
God
Jedi
of War
game.
2018, Jedi Fallen Order. 3D Metroidvanias are a thing, so I went strictly with 2D. Number 5, Dust and Elysian Tale. Really, really, really good game.
Now, I remember this. I never played it. Right? Is the main character
game.
like a black and white fox kind of thing? Like a fox?
Yeah, he's like a little fox that. Hold on, where's the screenshot? He's like a little. Yeah, he's a. Yeah, kind of like a fox in this, light green outfit with like almost like a cape and a little hat like Fun Known wears.
But
really,
wasn't this
really good.
A singular dev that made this on back in the NeoGAF days?
It started as an XNA game.
Yeah.
It won the Dream Build Play challenge, and Microsoft then picked it up to publish it for Xbox Live Arcade. Made by one guy, but again, like Falconeer, help with the audio. The audio was done separately. But Dean Dodrell hand animated and hand drew the game. Wow. Really, like where it differs to a lot of other Metroidvanias is it's got a lot of RPG elements to it. It's a really, really good game. Again, being a person that likes short games, it didn't feel massive and overwhelming.
It didn't
outstay. It was really nice. Yeah, it was a really, and the funny thing is you'll find all the games on this list are much smaller or shorter Metroidvanias because I like them that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dust is really good. Strangely, did not get a remaster / re-release on Xbox One.
It is backwards compatible.
PS4. No, it's not.
What?
It's not backwards compatible, but it did get re-released on PS4 and Switch, but not Xbox One. Very strange.
That's weird, considering where it started.
That's right. Hopefully, it ends up backwards compatible once the next Xbox comes out, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess.
Number 4, Strider. So the original Strider, I don't believe, was a Metroidvania, but this reboot from 2014 is made by Double Helix. So this was their game
back in the day, right?
This was their game straight after Killer Instinct.
Wow.
And well, yeah, Killer Instinct put them on the map, but then Strider was legitimately great. Again, nice and tight, well-designed world, nice graphics, still captured the feel of the original Strider really well through sound effects, visual design. Like, yeah, really, really good game. Almost got all the trophies on PS4 as well. But I believe we got it games with gold, if I'm not
we
mistaken.
did.
Or it might be on Game Pass, one or the other. Maybe both.
Yeah. I played Strider back when there was not much to play in 2014. And I think I got like halfway through and then something in real life must have distracted me. I think my son was born and then I kind of fell off the radar. But it might be a game that I need to go back to because I was really enjoying it and I enjoy those kind of smaller Metroidvania style games. And I remember it playing really well. So I'll add that to my pick up and have a glance at again lists.
I think I've only got one trophy left, and that is to complete the game in under 3 hours or 4 hours or something like that.
That won't be one I'll do.
Yeah, I hate those achievements, but anyway.
Stop putting Ori, Thomas.
Yeah, I know. Number 3 is Wonder Boy 3: The Dragon's Trap. Look, I'm lumping the original and the remake into this because the remake is the original. Like, it's built on the backbone. Like, Lizard Cube literally built the remake over the top of the original to the point where you can switch the graphics. So they're one and the same.
Games do that when they have that. Here's what the past used to look like. Here's now. It's such a great feat.
That Wonder Boy 3 is actually one of the first Metroidvanias. I mean, it came out in 1989, which isn't that long after Metroid or Castlevania. And it was probably, I think I've said this before, probably the first game that I really, as a kid, sank into. Like, I used to just play for hours on end. Probably the game that turned me into a more serious console gamer. Like, that was the game that made me love the hobby the way I do. It was such a good game with, you know, all of these games have put different spins on Metroidvanias. So, you know, Dust had the RPG elements. Strider did its thing. Wonder Boy 3 was the first one to do the transformation thing. So as opposed to getting an ability or a power up, you had to change into a different animal to access different parts of the world. Cameo kind of ended up doing that. But like, you know, in Wonder Boy, there's, you know, you hit this point in the map where you notice that there's a gap there and you can get to this part of the world, but the gap is like this big. And then you find out later you can turn into a mouse. Once you've turned into a mouse, you can then start to go through that area. Then there's another whole area that's underwater. Later on, you can turn into like a sea monster. And
of course.
It's such a good game. It's really, really good. Doesn't hold up as well as I was hoping. It's still playable, especially the remake because of the new visuals. But in terms of the world design and all that sort of stuff and just general gameplay, probably doesn't quite hold up as well as some of these games on the list, although some of them are new, and a lot of other games from that time period. Probably not quite as well, but still a classic game nonetheless.
Sure.
Number 2, Shadow Complex.
I loved Shadow Complex.
Yeah, such a good game.
You played Shadow Complex, Cairo?
Not really.
Really?
No. I've heard of it. I've seen ads for it. I just
you got to give that a go, man. It was the Metroidvania for me that was like, this is a genre you may enjoy.
It brought it back. It kind of brought it back in a way.
It did Shadow a little Complex.
Bit, yeah. Main character voiced by Nolan North, I believe.
Yeah. It's like it's a 2D Uncharted.
Yeah, it's like again, Shadow Complex, I say it in the article, but Shadow Complex I love for its simplicity. Again, not a massive world, easy to find your way around the map, you don't get lost. But the other thing I love about Shadow Complex that other Metroidvanias don't do is that the power-ups, as you upgrade them and stuff, you start to feel super powerful and overpowered by the end of it. Like, I love games that just make you feel like you cannot be stopped. And Shadow Complex was the first time I had that in a Metroidvania, so I loved it. It's really, really, really good.
Yeah, it's a solid game.
And it's just designed, the map's designed in a way where as soon as you get a particular ability, you know exactly where you need to go as soon as you got it. You don't even have to think about it. It was really good.
it's easy to remember. I remember walking around that, and unlike a lot of games in the genre that kind of merge, the map just merges into one thing.
Yeah.
Shadow Complex, you kind of really, really distinctly remember different places, and you think, oh, there was a place back here that this power up suited
right.
for, and you just head
Yeah,
straight for
it's
it.
great.
It's really well designed.
Such a good game. They even Epic gave away remastered for free during an E3 or something like that for a limited time.
Yeah.
So I've got it on everything now. I've got it on Xbox One, got it on Xbox, I've got it on
it hasn't
Epic.
had a sequel. Like,
They
genuinely
did. I think IGN on one of their Unlocked podcasts did interview someone from Epic and talked about Shadow Complex, and they have discussed a sequel, and one I think at one stage might have been worked on for a little bit, but then it's been shelved.
Shame.
But yeah, I'd love one too. Number one, and the reason why I didn't want to do this topic when Thomas was here is Ori and the Blind Forest.
We didn't want to kiss his ass too much, right?
Yep, that's right.
In an episode that was otherwise about kissing his ass, right?
Yeah, that's right. Ori and the Blind Forest is just perfection.
It's legitimately one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, it's so good. We spoke about it on that episode. There's not much more to say about it. Stunning, like it plays perfectly. All its levels are designed visually in a very distinctive way. They don't all sort of just blend into each other. They're all very unique.
Beautiful orchestral pieces from Gareth
Yep.
Coker as well.
Unbelievable
The
audio.
each area have its little personality of
Yeah,
it's either forlorn or mournful or happy. I mean, one of my favourite moments in that game is when you've done the Ginso tree and you come out and the water's all clear and it's got this like little happy beat.
yeah.
You've cleaned the world up a little bit, and it's just perfect. It really is.
And just even like the way it introduces you to your new abilities, like it does it in a really good. You get the new ability, and instantly, right there and then, it says, "Okay, here's how you use it," and it'll throw an enemy at you, and it's a particular enemy that you have to kill using that ability. Like it just teaches you straight away, and it just does it in it's I don't know. There's not much more I can say about it. I think in the article I called it a wallpaper creation tool in disguise. Like I remember when I first played it, and I was still using Kinect then, and I just kept saying, Xbox, take a screenshot. Xbox, take a screenshot. Xbox, take a screenshot. I was filling my OneDrive full of Ori wallpapers. It was so good.
It's funny when I got this. I've got a really great 32:9 Samsung ultra wide monitor, and I downloaded the Wallpaper Engine app off of Steam, and it allows you to run video wallpapers in the background. And one of my wallpapers that I have right now in front of me is literally the Ginso tree, green clear waters. Ori's just sort of standing there, kind of animating on his own. It's running at 60 FPS in HD, and it's just because it's just such a gorgeous environment to look at. It really is
unbelievable.
It's phenomenal.
Can't wait for the new one.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It is going to be good. No, it's a good top 5. Absolutely. If you haven't played, from my perspective, if you haven't played Shadow Complex or Ori and the Blind Forest yet, where have you been? Cairo, go play Shadow Complex. And again,
I have Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition already installed and waiting to play, so that's going to come first.
Yeah, but
Strider,
Ori,
Dust, they're all good.
Yeah, Ori 2. Obviously, we're getting a new trailer at the Game Awards in December, and it's coming out in February. I cannot wait for that game. I don't care what people say. That is a AAA game, in my opinion. It might not be a AAA genre, but when everything comes together in the way that Moon Studios makes these games, it's just going to be an absolute joy to play. I'm expecting big things for that game. And on that note, we will draw episode 10 of the XboxEra podcast to a close. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with our next one. Between now and then, keep your eyes on xboxera.com. we'll be gearing up to do our Game of the Year articles from an Xbox point of view. And we'll obviously talk about that wider gaming industry while we're there. And I think for Christmas, we're also going to do another giveaway. And indeed, I think I've got another year of Game Pass Ultimate to gift to one lucky viewer / listener. So keep your eyes out for that.
And we may also have a digital copy of a delisted Xbox game to give away.
Oh, tantalizing.
So you can't buy this game digitally anymore.
Unless you have this code, you won't be able to
I have a code for it.
So we'll put some stuff together, but between now and then, thanks for watching or listening, however you do it. And keep an eye out on us, and we'll bring you some more guests soon. We've got some good things lined up. We don't want to reveal too much, but you've probably heard us name drop a few throughout this podcast. And we'll see you next time.